Welcome to Chakras and Shit, a playful look at spirituality. Today I have an incredibly special guest. Anarah is many things, and to me, you were the first person to introduce me to the quantum world, to quantum energy. And when I was reading your bio on your website, anarah.com, some phrases and some of the words just jumped off the page, and I thought, for this path of spirituality we're both on, you're telling me that we're both going to be into and that you can showcase your skills around loving and fulfilling relationships, knowing and living your purpose, self-knowledge, self-acceptance, self-love, and absolutely my favorite part, you call yourself a soul coach. I love that. Welcome to the show, Anarah.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Brent, it's been so nice to watch your journey. And I didn't know that I was the first person to introduce you, because when you came in, you just flowed, into the field as if you belong there, and nothing, you were uncensored, and, you weren't trying to hold on to anything. You were just fully being. And I think that it's kind of like the quintessential where everyone's trying to get, right, in present moment and just being who they are. So you were super authentic and super real, and to me, very present. So it's only going to get better.
Thank you.
And it's good now.
It's great now. And the journey that we shared was inside out.
I was calling it inside outside at the time, just because to me, it's like whatever we have inside of our head, the process that I was doing, which is actually called identity development, which is its real name.
Okay.
It takes whatever's going on inside of us, inside of our bodies, inside of our subconscious, and projects it outwards. And we can interact with it in real time in 3D with the power of the interconnected field that we all can tap into. And I've been thinking a lot about this because, I've studied some science, and, the people that have created identity development really wanted it to make sense to people that weren't spiritual. So they're like, how does this work? And, we talked about mirror neurons with people. We talked about the quantum field, like we're all energy and information. And like, how does this work? Because it works on Zoom just as well as it works if we're in person, right? So
Sure.
Anyways, your viewers don't know what we're talking about, so we kind of jumped in right there, but I wanted to give a little taster of what that was like. And what was it like for you? Because you experienced it. So I'll back off and you can say your experience.
Sure. To me, it was the first time I had ever seen my personal thoughts, my personal human experience come to life right in front of my eyes. And I wasn't a subject that day, but I was a resonator. And I know you'll speak to the process of what that exactly means, but what I saw was I saw childhood traumas. I saw moments of connectedness with people from our past. I saw hope. I saw people break through their barriers and their limitations. I saw old stories get shed literally right before my eyes. Wow, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Right before my eyes. And I got to participate, and I felt like I created the experience that was coming through the person who was the subject, because we were so connected that I knew at that moment I was going to be art. I just knew it 5 minutes before it happened. And then for an incredible 10-minute or 15 or 20-minute journey, I was, in fact, art.
And you were resonating art for someone who had written down their sentence. This was a sentence of somebody who was the subject that they had a sentence that said, I want to experience more art, for instance. And then they broke up the sentence and put the word art and asked you to resonate it, right? Like they literally gave you a little sticky, you put it on, and in the moment we kind of came together. And for that person, you represented and resonated what art was inside of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember you having a lot of fun with it.
How did you do that? That's what we want to know. How did you do that?
I would love to take full responsibility that yes, I'm highly skilled, I'm a magician, but it actually is all of us. We can all do this, and that's the beauty of it. There's not one person that, there's people that they'll get it on and they might second guess what is coming through them, but there's no one that really doesn't have that ability. And I put it down to this. I think as children, we resonated with our parents. We learned, there was so much information to take in about how to be a human that we kind of sidled up to our mom and resonated what she was feeling and became that. You know, at 0 to 2 years old, we can't tell the difference between us and our moms. So whatever they're feeling, we're feeling it. And it's something that we just do so naturally, and it helps us survive, right? So if we know that our mom is stressed, and if I'm making a lot of noise and she gets more stressed, then we know to make less noise, right? We adapt around whatever our moms need because we need our moms. So, but it's kind of like as kids, we knew so much, even though nobody really said it to us. So I hate to say this, but all the parents out there, you know, it's like, well, our kids don't know what's going on with us. It's like, they know. They don't know, they don't have words for it, or they don't have the complex narratives that you might have around why you are experiencing what you're experiencing. But they know how you're feeling, for sure.
So if I can paraphrase that for a moment, are you telling me I'm a lot like my mom?
I think we all have our moms and dads inside of us. And over and over again, it kind of comes out in the sessions. But it's kind of the introjection of them, right? It's not all of their energy. It's just the part of them that maybe creates a bookend for us or a stopping place for us. It's like, oh, I have to be really quiet because mom likes me this way. And that bookend gets placed in our psyche. And then every time, like say I went out and I had that bookend, well, now I'm really quiet at a party, or I really don't want, or I don't make videos, you know, when I should be making videos and sharing this with the world, because it's like, oh no, really, I should be quiet because otherwise I might say the wrong thing and then somebody will get stressed out and then I won't be able to handle it. So we're kind of in that way stuck in the past, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. So these stories, these patterns, these events that we witness come out of someone based on a single word in a sentence on a wall that is typically a strong, would you say, intention?
Yeah, it's an intention. It's something they want, something they desire, something they long for.
Okay. So what is coming out of me? How is art from when they were 12 years old and it was around an art teacher and it was a moment in their life that was a bookend moment? How does that come out of another human, a 41-year-old human being in a room, 20 years later?
That's a great question, because how did you happen to be in that room? And how did you know that you were going to be art? And how did that person, without knowing that you knew, go right up to you and choose you, right? So all of that knowingness that we have, I think you got chosen as art because you had a piece of that person's story, something that they could resonate with, that needed to be told through your eyes, that you could gift back to them and help them in their healing. And at the same time, you're helping you in your journey. So we're all connected. I mean, we just are. We're connected, and we're meant to help each other. We really are. And that's why COVID is a little sad, because it's so sad because we're not as connected, but yet we find different ways like this to connect, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that was identity development. And you've also created this conscious connected relationship. So how is
Yeah.
that the same or different?
Yeah. So I wanted to say about identity development that the reason to do it is so that you can see the part of you that is bookended and interact with it and take it out of whatever experience that it's in, not by forcing it or wanting it to change or giving it a coaching, but just by witnessing it and by saying that this was a part of me that at this age did this. And I I want to meet this part again. I want to see this part again. I want to feel this in me again. I want to give it space. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to love it.
Yeah.
And we talk about self-love, right? Like self-love is just bandied around right now. Self-care, self-love. It's like, how do we do that? How do we really love ourselves? And often it's really easy to love somebody else and really hard to love ourselves. I mean, we can be selfish or we can do self-care or, I don't believe in selfish, by the way, but, some people, like I believe that I'm very selfish, but that's not self-love, right? It is, sometimes we can be self-absorbed, we can take care of ourselves, but self-love is when we can have that compassion and see ourselves and just sit with the baby that wanted to be held a little bit more, that wanted a little bit more connection, maybe that wanted to be touched more or to be fed more or to be seen more, to be looked at more, and that wasn't, and that we could do that for that baby, and that all of our timeline can shift if we, because no one else can give it to us, only we can give it to us. We wanted it from somebody else, but then we're giving it to ourselves.
Okay.
I saw you melt a little bit when you said that child that really just wanted, it's like something in you kind of just took a breath. Like, what was that, Brent?
It's this realization that I'm on a healing journey.
Huh.
I believe we're all on a healing journey in some way. And COVID has sped mine up. Through
Same
coaching,
here.
Be More You, through some of this work, it's been heal this week, heal something else this week, and I've remapped my childhood in a way that I literally moved back to my childhood home for the first time in 26 years.
Wow.
And this is my home. This is where I grew up.
Wow.
And the self-love and the self-forgiveness and understanding my parents' journey and my connection with my sister and just the things that have happened since COVID for me. It's been this incredible healing journey and a return home to where I'm now feel like I can create and live out my purpose.
Mm. Well, I'm super thankful for your sister, who's amazing also, super loving soul, and on a huge growth path too, right? So, yeah. Well, I think I kind of explained it, but people are probably going, what are they talking about? And so I'm just going to say, just come and experience it. On Thursday nights, I send out a link. If you want to be on the link, please go to my website or shoot me an email at anarah@mac.com, and I will send you a free link to come and check this work out on Zoom. So.
Oh, okay, so you're doing it on Zoom now, because we did it in person. Obviously,
That's right.
Before.
That's right.
Great.
Right. Yeah, and I think you wanted to say something about watching somebody become a tree or something?
so our head coach, we'll call him
Dave.
Dave. Yeah, Dave. So Dave, I believe, was in a similar mindset as I was that day, where we didn't know what we were walking into. We did not know what this work was. And I was art, he was right, I think, in the previous exercise. And you've never seen a tall man connected to the floor the way he was, and he hasn't been able to explain it. What happened to his body? Where did he go? And why is his physical form attached to the ground in as powerful a way as it had ever happened, that he'd ever seen. And we witnessed this, and I witnessed it, and he was as dumbfounded as I was. I'm speaking for him, I appreciate that, but we both know Dave.
Yeah, Dave was surprised because that's not naturally his experience with the ground, right? With being rooted.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's nice. We get to resonate something that maybe is outside of our experience, but it grows us. And once we do that, our neural networks uptake that information. It's like, oh, I couldn't do that before. Oh, I can do that now. Like this body can have that experience. So we're always learning and growing as we do it too. Like some people have tried it and they are in pain, in chronic pain, and their pain goes away. And I'm not making any claims at all about that, but for some people, when they resonate and that part of them that they're resonating does not have any pain, their pain literally goes away. And then it comes back when they become themselves, right? But it's like, where did that pain go? It's been with me for months. How did that go away? How did that go away for that amount of time? And then the opposites happen too. Somebody can walk in and they're pain-free, and then for a moment they're in like some discomfort. They're in like I didn't have this feeling of wanting to throw up. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Why? And then it relates back to the subject and a process, like something that had happened to them where they had actually wanted to throw up out of fear. And then in that moment, a part of them had split off and become what we collectively would call the inner child. I guess that's the term. Which is really, we have many inner children and inner parts. So it's kind of a collective composite term we understand now. Before, people thought there was just one little inner child and it lived somewhere in here and it wandered around and we could meet it. But now we realize that the human psyche splits really naturally as a way to protect it. Because if every time we got traumatized, we stopped and just went into the corner and said, I'm not coming out because this was too much for me, we couldn't keep up with the natural growth and development that a human needs. So we needed, most of us, to get up out of that corner and get ready for school the next day and to move on. And on the outside, we looked the same, but there was a little piece of us missing that had gone underground.
Okay. And I read a quote, I think you put it up on Instagram a little while ago, it might have been your website, but I went around the world for over a year and I kept saying this phrase without really fully understanding or believing it. And now that I've seen you write it, I now believe it fully. The best gift you can give the world is to be the most authentic version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And how can you be the most authentic version of yourself if you're not expressing what's inside and allowing it to come out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It certainly gives more of you, makes more of you available to the world, because we need to see those parts too, because those are the parts that connect, right?
Yeah.
We think we have to hide our pain and our shame and all of the stuff that happened to us and then move on, like just get over it and move on. And yes, I can understand that. We don't want to feel like a victim, but then we're kind of abandoning a big part of us that is left behind and is kind of stuck in that story or in that record. It's like the needle's stuck on that record for them and they can never get out. And that's kind of cruel, right? Leaving a part of us in that pain. Like there's ways to unstuck that needle, to play a different record.
And is that the idea of bringing your shadows with you and appreciating them and going, let's go together, let's move together, nurturing them?
Yeah, I like that. I like that term, but I don't like the term shadows because, because it makes it seem like everything's dark, or not as intense. I realize that it means it's the part of us that we can't see. And I totally appreciate that. Like, okay. That is true. That is so true. I don't think we need to know them or name them because they are us. So, we put a name, a part on them, but ultimately the goal is to integrate us, right? So we don't need to stay fragmented afterwards. We can become whole.
Beautiful. And I'm thinking now of Debbie Ford's Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Have you read the book?
Yes.
So
yes.
This beautiful idea that we have our shadows, we have the things that put us in caves, and we had the things that happened when we were 2, and they're parts of our personality and our soul that are coming with us on this journey, whether we like it or not. You can let them be unconscious, or you can be conscious of them. And in Dark Side of the Light Chasers, Debbie Ford not only has you look at them deeply, you name them, and you bring them on your bus. And then you just take this little school bus and you drive around with abandonment Aaron and egotistical Eric and whoever else you want to bring on your that tell a story of who you are.
Right.
And I like that, because like you said, it's not that dark shadow. Now we're on a journey together. We're on a ride. Let's get on my bus. I had a huge ego in my 20s. Come on, egotistical Elmer, let's go. Right? That's the human experience.
Right.
That's the journey.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, all the work that was done before to get us to this point, to be able to really now contact our inside selves, right? It's like maybe in 5-10 years, we'll be looking at something totally different, a different technology to be able to do this. But this, I just want to say, I don't want to socially, what is it called? Culturally appropriate this. This work, this resonating, originally was taught to a Westerner by the Zulus, by the Zulu tribe, who as a tribe were able to resonate what was going to happen next day on like a big hunt, or what had happened for one of their people who had been hurt or injured, and they would help them become whole again, right? And there's like shamans will go and journey and get your fragments for you and bring it back. The beauty is that we are all the shaman, and we can all tune into this now. Yes, it takes some skill, it takes some process, and the more we do it, the more, it's all the same stuff, right? Gathering the fragments of who we are and bringing it into us and owning it. So
beautiful. And this journey for you began at a very young age. Am I correct?
Yes. So I lived in a haunted house, or I experienced it as haunted when I was very young in London as a child. Yeah. So I was quite scared a lot of the time, because I could see shadows, and I could feel a lot and resonate a lot of things that just were out of my realm of understanding as a child of what is this? Why does it feel yucky? Why am I scared? I don't know. There's nothing there. Nobody else can see it. So it was, I think I isolated a little bit more as a child and just wasn't sure about how to manage. But later on, after doing my Reiki training in my 20s, early 20s, that took me on a journey of being able to see a lot of consciousness. But what I wanted to tell you about was something that happened to me when I was 15 years old. So at 15 years old, I had really bad growing pains in my legs. And I also was very much in love. Like, I had this huge experience of falling in love. It was unrequited, but I was in love. And at night, I would be up with these pains in my legs, and my mind would wander and daydream and romanticize about this guy. And actually, I'd met him in a different country, so I thought about Canada, and I thought, I want to move to Canada, and Canada's so cool, and I'm going to be this cool person when I get to Canada, because it's all about Canada, and I'm going to be in love. And my parents hadn't owned a home at that time, so they had a business, and we lived above the business, right? So I, in my fantasies, wanted a home, a real home. And I wanted to have a balcony in my home, because just in case somebody came to visit, I could, like the whole Romeo and Juliet thing. Sure. I was very romantic. Yeah. And, I even created like conversations that I would have with people. Like, it was very real to me, my life. And every night, maybe for 7 months, while I was having these pains, I would actively imagine this life, maybe for half an hour, 20 minutes before I fell back asleep, but every night for like months, right? And so my parents decided to move from London, England to Canada.
Okay.
And then we had to buy a home, and the only room that had a balcony was mine. So that was pretty cool. And then the conversations that I had with people were like, to the sentence of what I had imagined is what this person said back to me. And so to me, that solidified that the power of my mind, which I stumbled upon by accident, right? I didn't read a book. Nobody told me about this. I stumbled upon it and I got it. Like, oh, this is real. And this is how we do it. So I'm not saying my life has been perfect, but I have definitely had this deep understanding of how the mind works since then, and what stops us, as well as what helps us create and manifest. So,
Wow.
mm-hmm.
Did you just describe yourself as a psychic?
That is a loaded term, I would say. Okay. But I do feel very connected to other information that is available.
Okay, because you had a psychology background.
I have a psychology background, yes. I mean, it was like definitely a no-no to become a psychic as a child, right? It's like, that's not what my parents wanted me to be. Yeah. So either a doctor or a lawyer, please. So I pretty much hid all that stuff deep down inside. But yeah, I mean, but it was my experience, and it is real for me. So I kind of am coming out of that closet for the last few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just exploring and expressing this recently?
Well, I've been actively working with it for about 25 years, okay. But I don't speak about it. Like I don't lead with it. Like people experience that around me, but it's not how I describe myself, say.
Okay. What took you so long?
Like I said, programming, like, you know, my dad probably was really psychic as well, and he'd never wanted to be laughed at or thought of as weird. So he definitely encouraged us to just study, go to school, you know, do the regular, stay regular.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is me authentically announcing me, I guess.
Wow. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Brent.
Do you feel like you're in your fullest expression or close to it, or is there a lot more to come?
I would like to believe there's a lot more to come.
Okay, good.
Yeah, more unfolding, and change is where we're at, right? I mean, who could have predicted what our lives would look like today? I mean, it came out of nowhere. In a few months, the world had changed, and there's gifts in that for sure. And our bodies are going to continue to change, and I'm sure I'll have a relationship around my body around that. So people will change in front of my eyes that I'm in relationship with, and that, you know, the truth of being in a conscious connected relationship is managing ourselves and loving ourselves through the inevitable changes of life, right? So,
okay.
Yeah.
And you created this conscious connected relationship. So do you mind a little bit more?
Yeah. Thanks. I'm excited about conscious connected relationships. That came out directly out of COVID, and wanting to go up to Canada and be with my Canadian peeps, and now all of a sudden Zoom. So I can be here in Newport Beach and be talking to a group of people that are from everywhere. And I loved it. I love that. And I finally wanted to put a program together where we could all experience conscious connected relationship, how we could have concepts around things that have been rolling around in my head around love and relationship. I've been married for 25 years this year in a conscious connected relationship.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
And he's lovely.
It has, it's good. I mean, it sounds woo-woo and it sounds easy, but it's not woo-woo and it's not easy. It is just being connected in a way that is aware, that we are aware that this person in front of me is going to light up my stuff is going to show me my things, my pieces of me, my brokenness, my pain, my love, my joy, my hopes, my longings, my need. It's all going to be there, shown to me. And what's mine is taking back the projection of what is, so that I can really see this person that's in front of me. So that's one way we've worked together a lot, through actually the Clearmind Institute helped a lot with that.
Okay.
So shout out to them. And so there was all of these pieces in my mind of talking about conscious connected relationship. And then I wanted to marry it with the ID work so that transformation could happen, because I think concepts are fantastic. And I think concepts with a process that helps people transform is the way to go. That's what I like to see. So I created the program.
Okay. So what goes on in this program?
It's a 12-week deep dive into conscious connected relationship. You don't have to be in a conscious connected relationship. You can be self-partnered, which is what I call single.
Self-partnered, I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. You can be recovering. And I think some people are in recovery. Like they think they're out there dating. They think they're, over whatever has happened, but they might have some relationship PTSD, So, and then there's other people that are like, my picker's broken. And so I have a whole thing around whether your picker is broken or not, meaning the part of them that picks the new partner.
Yeah, a severed picker. I've had that before.
I think your picker is perfect.
My picker is.
So you know.
You haven't seen my picker, have you?
I have not seen your picker, but I'm pretty sure everyone's picker is perfect. You may not like that what your picker picks, but it's perfect.
Well, Peter Piper.
Try to say that.
Peter Piper pickers or something. You're allowed to swear. There's a swear word in the title.
There is.
Wow. So 12-week deep dive. You get it on your website.
Yeah, it's about relationship, but it's really about self-love. So that's what I want to say to you.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, self-love. Well, self-love, this healing journey and self-love, all the light comes from here out. I'm starting to learn that, and I have learned that, and self-love and self-compassion for me has been the most important part of this mini fast-track journey that I've been on. And there's still work to do. There's always work to do.
And that's the good news, right?
Yeah. And you talked about projections. I've seen that come up a few times. So when you're saying projections, this, the concept I'm thinking of is context window, where you see things through your own lenses and your own views and form your own judgments, and then come up against resistance or project it out. And am I close on that? Or
yeah, you're absolutely close. We see things through our own lens. Often that lens has could have an adverse childhood experience, as I call them, or a bit of trauma that skews that lens. And often when we're in a close relationship, that person will trigger a part of my pain.
Okay.
Right? Whether it's being controlled, or whether it's being abandoned, or whether it's being ignored or being yelled at. So a part of that will be shown to me again. And this is when people say my picker is broken, because I keep bringing the same type of person back, right?
Sure.
And it's really not a punishment that you keep bringing them back. It's you trying to bring that type of person back so that you can have a different experience with it, so that you can interact with that pain in a different way. And when you get to that place, and you need the projection, otherwise, and your brain does the projection to protect you in a weird way. It's like, well, remember what happened when last time you got into a relationship? This happened, so you don't want that to happen again. So just remember, relationships are dangerous. You have to be this way or that way. So that's why your brain, it's wired for safety, and it's wired to kind of bring back things that you're familiar with. And it thinks that's going to help you, but we know it doesn't.
Well, it helps you learn, right? I mean,
yes.
You're making the same mistakes. Hopefully you're building some walls and some defenses that you learn why they're there when you're ready. So I'll say, well, again, I'll use I statements. I have built some walls up with some of my past relationships. And then when I'm ready, I look at it and go, okay, that doesn't need to be there. Let's chip this away. Let's work it back. And when I'm ready to express myself fully in a relationship, there's still going to be triggers. There's still going to be projections. It's taking responsibility for that. That's been and being accountable for your role in that relationship. That's been the biggest part of my growth, is this idea of acceptance and accountability.
Nice. Good for you. Yeah, those are big pieces. Those are big pieces. And I think some of those, when we're triggered, it happens so quickly. Like if you trigger me, it could be something I say, something that you feel that takes you back to a moment in time where you felt rejected or felt judged or felt whatever. And boom, out comes the reaction before you can even stop it, you know? And so it takes some work to be able to kind of calm that trigger and to be there for yourself so that it's not there, that it just doesn't trigger it anymore.
Yeah, I'm like my dad and his tennis forehand. He has this projection with his forehand. One day it's really good, the next day he doesn't know where to go. So somehow I want to figure out how to work quantum energy with my dad so that he can be happy on the tennis court, hitting that ball over the net over and over again.
That's good, but maybe he's learning something by not getting it over the net every time. Maybe he's learning self-acceptance.
Oh, I like that, self-acceptance. I'm bringing that up next time we're playing for sure.
Mm-hmm. Good.
One last thing one of the things I wanted to touch on is this idea of past lives and soul contracts. Juicy subject.
Very juicy. Yes. I mean, do you believe that you are contracted to the people that you have been in relationship with?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It certainly seems that like that familiarity when we meet someone that is kind of on path for us for whatever reason, right? It feels like a contract that was made a long time ago. And I also think it reminds us of, there's an energy imprint that reminds us of somebody else that we can't quite put our finger on. That, like when I met my husband, it actually reminded me of my grandfather who had died like when I was 4. And I just thought, I've met you before. I know you, you know? And he died, my husband was born a week after my grandfather died. So he's 4.5 years younger than me. So is it him? I don't know. Or does it have a flavor of him? Or was this the person that I was supposed to be with so that we could come together and do a conscious connected relationship? So have a conscious connected relationship with. So I believe in soul contracts, in other words. I do. Yeah.
I love that. And a lot of this work, this show is about the playfulness and the fun side of it. When I started this, I'm looking deeper into spirituality because it's fun. For me, one of my values is fun. And even if I don't fully understand what a soul contract is, I don't know the answer. I've had an ayahuasca weekend where I was given some very visual proof of what is going on in other dimensions. And I'm sure that show is coming up in the future. So cool. I've seen things that you have to see to believe. So I have some evidence to support that this is real. But more than anything for me, it's just fun to believe. It's fun to believe. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. But I know what drives me, and I know the things that I choose to believe in any given moment. And both of the shows that we've done so far, that comes up all the time. You're in choice at all times. When you're in a haunted house in London and you're 15 years old and you're feeling energy, you can shut that out. You didn't have to tap into that. You could have gone, no, that's not real, that's not real, that's not real, and had a completely different path in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that idea that we're always in choice about what we want to experience and what we want to believe. That's the human experience that I love, and that's what makes these sort of conversations so exciting for me.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you brought up soul contracts. It's like, I love the idea that we are meant to have the friends and those important people in our life, to remind us who we really are, and to keep us on track to be our best version of ourselves. I think those contracts are the real gold that are in our lives, right? The people that can do us and see us and get us and call us out and love us regardless. So, yeah.
Is that a rough description of what a soul coach does?
I would say you're right. Very astute. Very astute. Yes. Yes. I like to say I see people.
Beautiful. Did you know I was going to wear this shirt?
I did not know it, but I see that it perfectly blends with your background, and there's a part of that red that really pops, and I can see you, and I can see that you're having so much fun. I'm just so happy for you that you get to kind of put out all this good energy into the world and be yourself and be inspirational to people like you that are having fun and wondering, could it be this, or could it be that? Maybe I'll play here and just see, does it make me feel better? Does it help me on my journey? Does it, I love what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And like I said, not only were you the first person to introduce me to quantum energy, you're also my first Instagram follower for chakras and shit. I noticed that, and I appreciate that. So
gotta love the gram.
Yeah, the gram. So again, anything coming up for you right now?
No, just gratitude for you and your willingness to play in the world. And I love it. You're doing a really good job. You are very authentic, and you just put yourself out there. And, I really, really appreciate that about you. And I know your heart is to be of service and to help people too. So I see you.
I see you too. And thank you for being part of my tribe. I'm sure our soul contracts have crossed at some point, and they probably will again. And
Great.
Again, the best gift you can give the world is to be the most authentic version of yourself. And, if you and I are examples of that, maybe a few people watching will expand their knowledge of themselves and their self-love as well. And slowly but surely, the world becomes a better place, right?
Agreed. And every time somebody else has a healing, we have a different consciousness to play in, right? As well. Like, we hold the space for them, they hold the space for us one day, we hold the space for everyone, and that's how change happens. And it's happening. We're in the front row seat of consciousness shifting right now. Yeah, and we contracted to be right here, right now, and we're doing it.
I agree. I know. And I was coined a light worker by Tony, who was my first guest. He called me a light worker. I'm like, whoa, what's that? That sounds, I don't know if I'm that. Like, slow down, pal. And when you all of a sudden, the rest of my journey around the world, I'm attracting other light workers. Literally.
Oh my God, it looks like the light just went on.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, your whole thing got a lot lighter when you said that. Woo doo 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 doo.
And
all right. And with that,
yeah,
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. So Anarah.com, ANARAH.com. Thank you for the work you do. And anyone interested in conscious connected relationships, that's where they go.
Yes. Or send me an email, Anarah@mac.com.
Beautiful.
Great. My website is under construction right now, so it's easier to send me an email. But thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, yourself as well. And
yeah. Oh, I don't know when you're going to air this, so scratch that.
Well, I'll make it a Friday.
Make it a Friday. Exactly. Then we can always be on Fridays in perpetuity. We can have had this Friday time.
Love it. And would you do this again one day if you're invited?
I would love to do it again. Yes,
You're invited.
absolutely.
You're invited.
Okay.
Coming
Thank
back.
you.
You're
Thank you.
probably gonna host and just take over one day.
No. This is all you, buddy. Okay.
Love it.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Keep doing your good work.
Appreciate it. You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
This was Chakras and Shit, episode 4. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Anarah is amazing. Again, ANARAH.com. And keep spreading your light. Love you all. Bye.